I am showing you a compilation of guys I find attractive, so this means I would be jumping for joy if any of these guys asked me out. The reason why I'm showing this is because I genuinely don't know any of these people in terms of personality, and I don't know if they're mean or kind or entertaining, but I'd make an effort to find out and I would be stuttering and stammering when trying to speak to them. So in my opinion, that is being attractive. These guys are attractive because I want to find out more about them, and I would be really happy if they spoke to me and registered me in their mind. This is based on my own preference. Maybe these guys aren't attractive to some girls, but they're extremely attractive to me. Now I will tell you how you can tell if you're not. When you're mid, it's hard to know if you're attractive or not, because you're so painfully average that you're typically ignored. But most of the time if you don't know if you're attractive or not, then you're likely not. You're likely just mid like most people. But there are some other ways to tell. For example, when the time that my school prom was happening, I joined the game quite late. There were some guys that had asked me out, which I was excited for, but then it turned out they were joking, which I only found out a few days leading up to the prom, so I had to find a date last minute. There was a guy in my class I was really interested in going with, and so I asked him, but he said no, so I went to prom on my own, which was still fun, but those hurdles, such as being asked as a joke, probably wouldn't have happened had I been more attractive. Rejection is pretty natural for any kind of mid person. But if you're mid and you're a girl that wears makeup, on the days you're particularly glammed up, you might get complimented by some guys, which means you look more attractive with makeup on. Usually if I find a guy attractive I tend to compliment them on their outfits so I don't make them uncomfortable or seem like a catcaller, which is probably what a lot of girls do as well, or they'll smile at any guy they're interested in, which also might make it hard to know if you're mid or not. Usually to tell if you're mid or not extremely attractive would be frequent experiences where someone has publicly denounced your attractiveness. Publicly is important because this might be done in a way to humble a mid person who feels they're attractive, for example wearing makeup and well-dressed outfits, to let said person know or feel that they aren't attractive and shouldn't be trying. A lot of people have issues with mid or ugly people just being happy. For example, one day I was on an Instagram group chat for talking, and one of the guys opened up my profile and saw my pictures. He then put in the chat, "Holy chuz." I thought it meant huz, so I said thanks, to which some people responded with a laughing emoji. So I did a Google search which actually informed me that chuz is another word for chopped, or in other words ugly. To that I responded, "That's okay, we're not all supermodels," and received another laughing emoji, but a girl told me in the chat that she likes my personality and mindset. Girls tend to always compliment and support other girls. I did an experiment where I posted a TikTok to a face card trend while looking very clearly chopped, no makeup, terrible styling, etc., and within minutes I already had a comment that said I looked gorgeous, which was written by a girl. Typically if I'm told I'm unattractive, it'll be by the opposite gender, which is probably the same for guys as well, which is another way to tell. So here's how you know. Make a mental note of how many you score out of the following. If you have been asked on a date as a joke, that's 1 point. If you have never had a boyfriend or girlfriend before, that's 1 point. If people smile sometimes but don't acknowledge you in public, that's 1 point. If you have been publicly told you're not attractive, or mid, or similar, that's 1 point. If you have been practically a background character in life, that's 1 point. If you're attracted to a wide range of guys or girls, or have no standards or requirements, that's 1 point. If you're complimented more on your clothes or outfits or hair or makeup than your appearance, that's 1 point. If you have overheard people talking about you negatively and making fun of any traits you have, for example, a stutter, skin color, height, weight, voice, then add 1 point. This is excluding external traits like braces, glasses, hearing aid, hairstyle, or balding, or any medical support such as a wheelchair. If you have ever witnessed your peers being approached while you're ignored, add 1 point. Now note down how many points you have. From here you subtract. If you have ever been told you're attractive or beautiful or handsome or cute or any physical compliment by the opposite gender, in an appropriate setting, such as someone close to your age and who could be an option, then subtract 1 point. If you find it easy to make friends, for example people approach you first, subtract 1 point. If people ask you for directions, subtract 1 point. If you have ever been in a group photo without any issues, like not being asked to hold the camera, or have not been laughed at if you have an issue with how you look in it, subtract 1 point. If people make self-deprecating jokes when they're talking to you, subtract 1 point. If you have no close friends, subtract 1 point. If people are desperate to be seen talking to you, subtract 1 point. And finally, if people of your own gender stare at you, subtract 1 point.